the source of the Nile. It is the longest river on Earth, the greatest river in Africa, crossing nearly half the continent. To the outside world, the source of the great river was an enduring mystery. But to the ancient Egyptians, the source was clear. The Nile flowed from the realm of the gods.
But what has the Nile to do with mummies and curses?
Everything. There would be no mummies, no ancient Egypt. In fact, no Egypt at all without her. You see, Egypt without the Nile is a desert, suitable for camels and scorpions, but not great civilizations. It's only here, along the floodplain of the Nile, that the desert's heat is softened and arid sand is turned to rich farmland. Nourished and irrigated by the Nile, Egypt became the longest lived of all the great early civilizations. In ancient times, so much water raced down from the lush valleys of Central Africa that the Nile overflowed its banks in seasonal floods. Mineral-rich silk was carried toward the desert of Egypt from lands upstream where wildlife flourished. Rich land made possible a vast farming culture and a stable civilization able to turn from daily survival to works of the mind. Science, mathematics, engineering, and astronomy. They studied the heavens and the seasons, gave us the 24-hour day and the 365-day calendar. Egypt, an old saying goes, was the gift of the Nile. But the Egyptians believed there was one thing even mightier than the Nile: the sun. The god they called Ra, the god who created everything. Each morning, with its rising, the sun god would be born. Each night, in setting, he would die. But the next morning he would rise again, never failing. He was eternal. When a king died, it was believed that he became one with Ra. His son, the new pharaoh, became Horus, the falcon, the living god on earth. And so the Egyptians accorded their rulers absolute power, which they used to build an extraordinary empire. An empire of buildings so enormous and art so exquisite, we are still trying to understand how such wonders were created. How stones from the desert were turned into timeless monuments. Some of the oldest buildings on Earth are here, preserved by the desert air and the skill of their creators. Some are so old that they had already stood 1,000 years when Tutankhamun was born. The enormous obelisks of Karnak were carved from single blocks of granite, moved hundreds of miles by boat, rolled on logs and perhaps levered up with huge timbers. Giant statues of Ramses the Great carved at Abu Simbel are still some of the largest figures ever sculpted from solid stone. We don't know how they did it, but we do know why. To honor the pharaohs, both in life and after death.
Honor the pharaohs after death? Does that have anything to do with mummies?
Yes.